But so I kind of like had the feeling of being a parent from like a 2-year-old on. Now she's 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
But I never had like the baby. I never had to do the baby stuff.
She was still pretty young though, right? But I get what you're saying.
But I
she
wasn't
was walking, I'm assuming.
Yeah, she was
right?
walking. She could use the bathroom most of the time, you know.
Okay.
But what happened, which was crazy, is I thought I would feel that like when the baby came, like, oh my God, you know. But they kind of just, the baby comes out and they just like plop around the mom and, you know, she's like holding her and it's, you know, it's like this big thing that it's like they need to feel that connection with the mom or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But what was crazy is I felt that about my wife.
Like in that moment?
When she was having, like when she was pushing and, you know, the baby was coming out and all this stuff. I just like, I was like, wow, I freaking love you. You know, it's like, you just feel so, it's like a horror. It's not like horrible, but it's like, it's not a comfortable thing. You know, she's got a baby coming out of her and there's fluids and smells and all kinds of weird shit going on.
It's not magical like the movies. The lighting's not perfect.
No, it's like a mess, you know? And then at this time it was like, there was only me, her, the doctor and a nurse. So I'm basically playing nurse, like helping, like
you're the assistant.
Yeah. I was helping give the, you know, let the baby come out. But I just felt this, like, felt like I've never been more in love with my wife than that moment when
that's interesting.
The baby was coming, you know? And I told my buddies, cause it was weird. Like we had our kid and then like a month later, one of my buddies had a kid. And then a few months later, so there's like 4 kids born last year that are all like kind of in my closer circle. Yeah. So I told these guys, I was like, they'd ask me about it. I'm like, look, just, you know, support her as much as you can while she's, you know, doing this. And you're going to feel like overwhelmed with like how much you are in love with your spouse or girlfriend, whatever it is. Giving birth to your child. And it wasn't, I'm not saying I didn't feel anything for the baby, but it was like, I was so overwhelmed with how I was feeling about her.
Your instant connection was that. Cause I'm sure that's what I'm saying is like, there's a comedian, Bill Burr. You know who this?
Yeah.
He has a podcast and he was talking about having his child and he was saying that same thing that I think he was on Joe Rogan's podcast when he said this, but he was saying that he didn't have that moment. Yeah. And he felt this pressure to have the moment because all his friends are like, dude, you'll never love any human being the way you love your child. Mm-hmm. He's like, I didn't feel any of that. Yeah. He said it wasn't until like a couple days later that I was like feeding him and then he burped and I was like, oh, like I fucking kill someone for this thing. Oh, yeah. Like, he's like, that was my moment. But he was like talking about like all the pressure of like feeling that right away.
Mm-hmm. Because that's what everyone talks about. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why I was asking. So I get what you're saying. You felt things for your children. You know what I mean? It's just your first thought. See, that's interesting. So your first thought was like the love that you felt. Was it more, I love my wife? Was it more, I love their connection they have right now? Like it was a little bit of both.
It was,
I'm happy for her kind of thing.
I think it was just like seeing her give birth to this child that, you know, we created and she, you know, had to carry the baby for 9 months, you know, yada, yada, that whole thing. Mm-hmm. But like the strength, you know, it's like, it's not something we can ever relate to, obviously.
Yeah. Unless you're Arnold Schwarzenegger in that movie.
Yeah, Mr. Dad or whatever. Mr. Nanny or whatever it was.
I don't know.
I forgot what it was called, but yeah, I remember. He got
pregnant.
I
ruined the moment? Yeah.
No.
But yes, I get what you're saying.
It's, it was just like, you know, this person is.
Do you think you feel proud of her? Like, was
that
like
proud? It was
like
pride. Happy. It was like, I felt lucky, like that I have her. It's like she's so strong, you know what I mean? I know that's like an overused term, like, oh, she's so strong.
But I get what you're saying, though. No, I get what you're saying. And it probably will mean even more when I'm going through it. That's what Matt was talking about. Yeah. But I get how it would feel that way. Because I've always wondered that. And I've always I'm a guy that overthinks a lot of things.
Same, dude.
And I'm like, I always think, and I hope I'm a good parent, but I'm like, what if I don't feel that right away? And so that's what I was asking. I haven't had a chance to talk to many people about it, but I always get nervous. I'm like, what if one day I have a kid and I'm like, I am more scared. I wouldn't even hold a kid for the longest time. Really? My friend Stefan had a child.
Oh yeah.
And he, when he first had his first daughter, he was trying to get me to hold her. Like, hey, will you hold her? I need to grab a bottle. I wouldn't do it. I'm like, dude, I would tell a friend. I call a neighbor. Yeah. I'm like, dude, I can't. Yeah. I was scared. I'm like, this is a fragile thing. And like, I'm responsible for it. Even though it's for like 2 minutes while he like gets the milk ready or something. I just wouldn't do it. And the first child I ever held was his first daughter. Eventually, he was like, dude, you have to help me. There's no one here.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, and it was so like vulnerable.
Yeah.
I remember thinking like, dude, like, why do you trust me? And then I realized I don't trust myself. That's what it is. Like, maybe he's fine.
Maybe he doesn't know. Yeah.
But it's me. I'm like, oh, I have huge issues with trust. I don't trust myself to hold a child. And so, and I obviously got over that. And so thank you, Stefan, for that help.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so nervous. And so thinking of the child thing, I was like, I bet, I don't know, right? I'm gonna allow myself to feel whatever I feel, but I have a weird feeling that I might feel what you felt.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll feel the like this is my whole moment kind of thing.
Yeah. And that comes like with the baby, like especially last year, it was like a blessing in disguise. So I went on parental leave May 6th last year is when she was born. And then our store was shut down. All they were doing was package sales. So we do to-go food and, they sell beer and growlers.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't need to be there to oversee anything because it was nothing for me to oversee. I would have just been sitting there watching staff sell, beer and food.
Faster.
So I took an extra like 2 months last summer. So I didn't work from May 6th to like July, the middle of July. And so in that time, I was able to be home and be with the kids and with my wife because she took that same amount of time. And then I went back to work for like July to October, and then we got shut down again. And then I didn't work until last month is when we reopened.
Mm-hmm.
But in that time, my wife had to go back to work, so it was just me with the kids all day, every day. And it was like a blessing in disguise. It sucked what was going on in the world, and a lot of people were having trouble.
Like silver lining.
Silver lining. I was able to be home and spend time with the kids, and I think that's that's priceless. You never get that time back.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you're enjoying watching these clips, then head over to the description so you can go watch the entire podcast episode, or go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, search Talk It Up, look for the gold logo, and start watching. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel as well, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.